Samoa Joe goes berserk on NXT, and Dakota Kai gives her explanation for her betrayal to Raquel Gonzalez. And on AEW Dynamite, we got to see the in-ring debut of Malakai Black. Did he retire Cody Rhodes? We're going to get all into it tonight on the Debrief. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Debrief here on Sports Keto Wrestling. I'm your host, Jose G. Next to me is the top Chico himself, Rico el Glorioso. And tonight, we're going to break down everything you need to know for NXT and AEW Dynamite. We just had a red-hot episode of Homecoming edition of AEW Dynamite back at Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida, in your neighborhood, Rico. But before we jump into everything that went down tonight, how are you, broski?
I'm doing great, man. Just kind of astounded on how they decided to end AEW Dynamite. But again, we're in the midst of summer. We're close to SummerSlam, aka TakeOver 36. We have the 5th special show for AEW, and again, another banger, another home run. Can't wait to talk about it with you, Jose. How you been?
I'm doing great, man. It's been a busy week as always here at Sports Keto Wrestling. Tons of news dropping daily. We're covering it all the time. And guys, whenever you want to get news notified straight to your phone, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Easy. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. That way you never, ever miss when we have exclusive interviews, breaking news, and review shows just like this. Monday nights, we got Legion of Raw with Vince Russo. Friday night's Dirty Dutch Mantel on Smack Talk. And us here, Jose G and Rico Glorioso, breaking down everything in the Debrief. That's every day. And then every afternoon, we got the top story. So check us out. Tons of content daily. Thank you so much for joining us. And share tonight's show in your favorite wrestling group. Go ahead and do it right now. Tag your friends in the comment section. If this is your first time watching, let us know where you're watching from and which show did you like better this week, AEW or Dynamite, because we're going to jump into all of it. But let's jump in to Dynamite, Rico. Let's talk about the homecoming, and let's talk about this main event, Malakai Black, Cody Rhodes, and what looks like a retirement speech from Cody Rhodes. But Malakai Black's like, not yet. I'm not done with you. After a dominant performance, what some would consider kind of a squash match, would you not say?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with that spot that he had where, Cody Rhodes went up to the top turnbuckle for whatever reason. Malakai just jumps up, kicks him off of the top turnbuckle through the timekeeper's table, which led to a close 10 count. Of course, Cody made it. But yeah, it was pretty much a squash match. This is kind of what I was hoping for. And I believe a lot of people are hoping for it too, because you don't want to have the same situation with Cody Rhodes where they bring in a new superstar or somebody that has some clout with them, and then he knocks him down a peg or two, because he is the American nightmare, the young American dream. But this time we finally got it where the new guy shows up and destroys the EVP. So much so that towards the end, and we were both talking about it in our group chat, like, well, that was quick. They still got 7 minutes left to go in the show. What could be happening? Cody takes the mic from Tony Schiavone, and it looks like he's about to retire. He's selling the leg injury, starts taking off his wrestling boots, but no, Malakai Black comes back, lays him out once again. This feud is not over. I'm sorry, Cody. As much as you are becoming Triple H, it is not that time yet to go away from the TV. You're still going to have to continue the storyline and have this feud with Malakai Black continue. So, hey, that's another great way of just hooking us at the end of the show and making us have to keep watching to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I think this was actually booked very well, especially for Malakai Black making his in-ring debut. And what we've noticed is that with a lot of these top ex-WWE guys, Miro, for example, when he made his in-ring debut, he was very dominant when it came to that. John Moxley, same thing. So these ex-WWE guys seem to have some sway when it comes to these matches. Malakai Black made a huge impact tonight. That finish was absolutely great. I did not expect Cody Rhodes to take that huge bump from the top rope onto the table. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a shot when Cody was turning over to his right, where there was a part of his rib area that was almost black and bruised up and cut. So I don't know if he suffered some type of rib injury during that fall, but I was not expecting that. That was awesome. And it was great that Black was able to capitalize on that, sell it, hit him with the black mask, and didn't even bother to go down and hook the leg for the pin. No, he just
stepped on him
on the chest. 1, 2, 3, clean win on Cody Rhodes. Huge win for Black, man. Tonight on Dynamite. Great in-ring debut.
Oh, absolutely. Do you think he's going to call it like Fade to Black? Like, because he can't call it the Black Mass, or is he still? Do you think he's still going to go with the Black Mass over here in AEW?
I don't know, man. Maybe they'll just call it Fade to Black, or I mean, I don't know. They'll probably do some type of play of words with that. It's not. You can't own Black Mass. You know.
Yeah. You can't really trademark that. It's kind of a thing that exists in this universe. But we got to start off what happened at the beginning of the show, because another thing that exists in this universe was the late 90s in WCW, where we had one Lionheart Chris Jericho going up against one Juventud Guerrera in one of the many feuds for the Cruiserweight Championship. And we got to see this fast forward to 2021, getting to see this version of Juventud with the mask back on, going up against this version of Chris Jericho in, of course, the next Labor of Jericho, where he had to win using a move off the top rope. Now, I have to ask you, Jose, we know what these guys can do in their prime. We've seen them in their prime, in their full potential. You want to get into it, but some of the moves, they try to. The bodies just can't handle the same kind of agility that they used to have in the back.
This is not a 25-year-old version of Jericho. However, big props to Jericho on that Judas effect. That came out beautifully. That rotation was beautiful.
Super Judas effect.
Oh man, it came out real nice. Hoovy did a great job, man. Just as fast as I remember. He looks just as young under that mask from what we can tell. Man, in comparison to Jericho, Hoovy really hasn't lost a step. He still looks amazing.
This just shows you like the athleticism of these pure luchadors. Like you see Juventud, you see Rey Mysterio, and they don't look like they've lost a step. Like it just goes to show just how ingrained in their nature it is to compete at this kind of a level, where they still do it. We still see Rey doing his same moves, so Juventud is still doing the same moves over there, in CMLL and AAA, but it's just crazy that they just continuously do what they do, and they still have it at such a high standard. Now, Chris Jericho, on the other hand, he's had to tailor his style based on, age as it's coming along and his size, because he's not the slimmest guy right now in AEW. He still managed to sell-ish some of those Hurricane Ranas. Not great, but he was still able to sell them. But it's just crazy to see, Juventud, the juice is loose. Just like they're saying here in the chat, like, he still has it. And these guys, these true lucha libre artists, these true luchadors, they do it so much that it still looks good whether they're 25 or they're 55. And it's ridiculous how talented they are. So it was really great to have Juventud Guerrera come back here in 2021 and still show out like he was still in WCW back in the late 90s, even though he didn't get the win. Even hitting the Hoovy driver, still didn't get the win. But unfortunately, he did eat the Super Judas effect off the top rope, because that was a stipulation. And Aubrey Edwards did a great job of actually holding true to it in order for Chris Jericho to get this win. But right afterwards, we did see Wardlow come in and attack both Chris Jericho and Juventud. And MJF announced the next Labor of Jericho. It's going to be a match against Wardlow. However, MJF is going to be at ringside, so he's going to get his hands involved somehow. But ultimately, it's not going to work. Chris Jericho's still going to get the win. But
there's definitely going to be shenanigans in that match next week. Was that in Pittsburgh next week, right?
The Pittsburgh is going to be the debut of Rampage. But I think they're having both shows there. Yeah, so I think both weeks are going to be over there.
So whenever that match goes down, that there's going to be some major shenanigans involving that finish that's going to culminate, with the All Out. But it's like the storytelling is so good here, because it's like, okay, now you have this stipulation that's going to make it virtually impossible for Chris Jericho to overcome this last fourth chapter of the labor, right? So even though we know where this is going, it's still incredibly cool that the storyline is actually working, and the amount of heat and booze that MJF can garner there when he tore up that fan sign. Like the guy knows how to get that heat, get those boos going. So this is gonna end really good in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, this is just gearing towards another fantastic match at All Out in September. But speaking of another debut, because we did see Juventud debut on AEW, we got to see the debut of two guys that we were just getting to know in NXT. And unfortunately, their time ran short. But the guys formerly known as Everrise, Matt Lee and Jeff Parker 2.0, teamed up with one Daniel Garcia in order to call out three of the toughest guys in AEW to make a point in their debut in Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin. So there is one thing about, shooting for the stars, but man, I think they shot way above their weight class. And you're not beating that trio, especially in your debut.
Yeah, it was really funny because I didn't know that the guys from Everrise, now known as 2.0, had signed with AEW. I didn't know they didn't. It's been that long already, that much time already has passed, or they didn't have a non-compete clause. So I don't know. I know usually, generally with NXT, is about a 30-day non-compete clause. Mm-hmm. But damn, has it been already 30 days since that release? So this year's
like quick.
Yep, it's already August. We're at the beginning of August. We just got 4 more months left for the rest of the year, man. So, but yeah, it's always good to see these guys, but they didn't get the win. The trio, the top dogs in AEW, Allen, Kingston, Moxley, they got the win. Totally fine for that. We also got to see a matchup here, Christian Cage and The Blade. Where in the world is the Butcher?
I don't know if he's on tour right now. I think that's the easiest reason he can blow up, because he is an actual musician.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, the Butcher is actually a musician who happens.
How does the Butcher have a touring date and Chris Jericho doesn't have anything going on right now?
I mean, he got the cruise coming up, so I'm sure that's what everybody's waiting for Fozzy. But yeah, no, that's actually he was actually a musician. He plays guitar, and I forgot the name of the band, but he moonlights basically as a professional wrestler. So he's been off TV for a little bit. However, he could have been there as a big help for the Hardy family office and the Blade, because Christian Cage continues his undefeated streak here in AEW. And it's announced later on, he is currently the number one contender for Kenny Omega's AEW championship. So even though they kind of teased it as soon as he debuted, we knew we're going to have to wait a while. Even he admitted it. He didn't want to be rushed into the title picture. He wanted to earn it. He's gone on this, undefeated streak, and now he's number one contender. So don't be surprised to see that matchup between Christian Cage and Kenny Omega for the AEW championship much sooner rather than later.
Do you think that this is going to be that main event for All Out? Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega? Because now that we know that Hangman Page is not going to be in that main event title picture, but then again, you look at what happened tonight in that storyline and that promo between the Elite and Adam Hangman Page, and it makes you think otherwise, because not only he got hit with the title, he got jumped 5-on-1. The Dark Order no longer, he's following what Adam Page wanted, which is, I don't want to be with you guys, and I really think I should go solo. They went out to go for the save, but Evil Uno, Stu Grayson stopped them, so that was very well done to kind of give him a space. And Kenny Omega hit him with the title. So this is giving me kind of like then we might end up getting this at some point.
Yeah, it just feels like that's not a main event match for your version of WrestleMania at All Out. The same pay-per-view that you first created before you had this wrestling organization. You want to headline it with the biggest matches that you can get. Like, it just doesn't feel like Christian Cage and Kenny Omega is that
That's what
big
I'm
match.
saying. Yeah,
It's Hangman.
no.
So I could imagine if not next week, maybe the week after, that we get a number one contenders match between Christian Cage and Hangman Adam Page, hopefully to determine who faces Kenny Omega, and maybe we'll still get that match. We still got a couple weeks left, a few weeks left for them to really figure out what's going to happen before the first week in September. And honestly, I'd much rather have Hangman.
3 weeks away. September's 3 weeks away. Think about that.
Jeez.
September's 3 weeks away. I know the month
really
just
is.
started, but September's 3 weeks away.
Yeah. So you only have so much time left to really build this up. So if you're going to make somehow finagle Hangman to get in there to get the match that you wanted. Otherwise, if we get this Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega match,
unless they make the match right there and then at the pay-per-view, but then it's like, okay, like what do you sell the pay-per-view with, We still don't have a main event yet.
Oh, with CM Punk. That's how this is. Or CM Punk and Debrief.
Okay, but he's not confirmed. Yeah, there's a lot of speculation and a lot of room. But, AEW doesn't even want to comment on it. They don't know. We don't know if he's going to show up at All Out. That's the speculation. That's the feeling. That's what everybody wants, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we're going to get it.
So I guess to really, tempering our expectations so they can, what is it? Under, they don't want to sell it too high, but they want to show us above, when the actual show gets here. They want to over deliver when it gets here for All Out and for Rampage and for the show in Chicago for the first dance. So I guess they're really trying to they're trying to swerve us without trying to swerve us, like knowing that all these storylines are here. And if they wanted to pull the trigger, they're going to do it within the next couple weeks, but they still got us hooked. Like the things like we saw here with Cody Rhodes and with Malakai Black, like with that interaction between Hangman Adam Page, the Elite, and the Dark Order, and then Frankie Kazarian getting himself involved, which was also announced that next week we are going to get an Impact Tag Team Championship match between the Good Brothers and the Dark Order. So all of these storylines continue to get intertwined. We still have this Forbidden Door open. And one match that also continues to keep this door open, we did have a number one contenders match for the NWA Women's Championship, where we had legit Layla Hirsch going up against the Bunny. And of course, we had Camille, the current reigning defending NWA Women's Champion, at ringside. And
she's huge.
I had no idea. Like, I still thought, Serena Deeb was champion. Like, to be, we could get more into NWA. We just haven't been able to follow with everything else we have to cover.
There's too much.
There's wrestling every single day, basically. But to see this matchup, it was kind of written in the stars. You can see legit Layla Hirsch is somebody that AEW really wants to push. And we saw it here. The Bunny was a great opponent for her to do so, even with the outside interference from the Hardy family office. We did have the best friends on the side of Layla Hirsch. But yeah, the 4'11" legit phenom, Layla Hirsch, got the win over the Bunny. So she's going to go up against Camille. And she came into the ring. And like you said, I had no idea how tall Camille was, but it helps when you're going up against a 4'11" person. So even though she's probably like 5'6", 5'7", which is not too tall, but like,
she's probably like 5'10", maybe 6 feet, but maybe with the actual
so huge
with the stilettos, she's probably like 6'3" or 6'4". So I mean, I don't know. She
towered over.
Yeah, she did. It was, but you know what? I'm happy for Layla, man, because Layla's been putting it out, and and Layla's actually was it a freestyle Russian wrestler or folk wrestler? So she's like, when she says she's legit. And I've been watching tons of Greco-Roman and freestyle wrestling now during the Olympics. So let's go, man. Let's go for
you see that armbar too? The second one, like she set up, got reversed, she stood up, she spun her around, and that was a legit armbar. I think she came really close to really injuring poor Bunny, poor Allie, because man, that just like the torque that she had on it when she put it in the last time and she tapped out, it looked a little too legit to quit. But she goes on to face Camille for that NWA Women's Championship. But speaking of Women's Championship, though,
yes.
So we had the interview with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Red Velvet came right out of your mama's kitchen to challenge her. And she actually accepted. So Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is going to be defending her and her AEW Women's Championship in her own hometown of Britsburg next week at the debut of Rampage. So automatically a solid main event for that for the first ever episode of AEW Rampage. They also announced the announce team, and it's going to be Taz, it's going to be Excalibur, it's going to be Mark Henry and Chris Jericho. So already a solid commentary team for the episode. I'm looking forward to it. And that just adds another show for us to watch, but it's going to be right after SmackDown. So we're going to have SmackDown from 8 to 10. Yep. And Rampage from 10
I think I'm going to save Rampage for Saturday mornings when I wake up. So this is going to be my Saturday morning cartoon routine.
Perfect. Get a nice big old bowl of cereal and just
right after I watch Masters of the Universe again. So absolutely. Did you watch that, by the way?
I haven't yet. It's on my list.
Oh, you totally need to get into that. So check it out. Stephen Chambers in the comment section here watching on Facebook saying, put Camille versus Jade Cargill. We got to see a little backstage promo with Jade Cargill, but I think that could be a good matchup there. Hopefully we haven't seen from her in many weeks.
And they announced that she's going to be back in ring next week on Monday, Dark Elevation. Jade Cargill is returning to the ring finally.
Let's speak about one
your
person
boy Jose
finally making his way to the ring. They put some respect on his name. He made a successful title defense tonight. I'm talking about God's favorite champion, the Redeemer himself. Miro makes his way back into AEW ring, defends his TNT title against Lee Johnson. And there was a comment that I saw earlier in the comment section here from YouTube, from Search One, saying it was a sloppy show, but Miro shouldn't be wrestling unsafe jobbers on live TV. Calling Lee Johnson an unsafe jobber. There was a lot of spots that didn't go well in that matchup, especially the DDT spot that Miro no-sold and then got up, and then all of a sudden he started being dizzy and whatever.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But we got a solid win from Miro. This match should have been over way sooner than how long this took. Miro looked absolutely dominant during the entire first half of the match. Small little mistakes here and there on the outside. Lee Johnson got a couple of topes suicidas. I don't think that match needed that, bro. He should have just finished. He should have just squashed him within like 5 minutes. That's the mystique about Miro. That's what's so great about Miro, that he can do that, and it's believable, right?
Yeah,
I just hope he's featured more.
Long. Yeah, it felt like it should have gone that long. Like, we got the squash match at the end of the show with Malakai Black. I guess that's why they didn't want to, double dip. You didn't want to have two back-to-back squashes with the women's match in between, which is fine. Like, Lee Johnson should be putting in some work because he is a product of that factory, of the Nightmare family. And if you guys didn't see it, they actually debuted. They had I believe it was like almost a 3-hour thing that they had with like an introduction of everybody in the Nightmare Factory. All these guys that they've been signing and been practicing with in Georgia. They had some really amazing talent there. So if you guys haven't already, check out the Nightmare Factory, Nightmare Family on YouTube, because you'll see all these up-and-coming guys that we're going to be seeing a lot more of in AEW. So it makes a little sense to have Lee Shotty, Big Shotty Lee Johnson, hold his own for a little bit. But like you said, this is the TNT champion who has not been on TV for, feels like, forever. He's not main evented where he should be, but he got denigrated to this spot because of Malakai Black. So it still feels like they're still doing not so great by Miro at this point. He did get to watch the Suicide Squad with one of his former enemies and rivals in one, John Cena. So we got the Peacemaker meeting up against the Redeemer on the red carpet, which was a nice little video segment if you guys haven't already. Like, John got to introduce his girlfriend to Miro. It's like, yeah, I used to work with him. This is one of my coworkers, over in the other thing that I was doing. But it's good to see he's back on TV. He had a dominant performance. He should be main eventing. He should be squashing people a little bit more often. But let's take those little wins where we can, Jose. We got him on TV in a solid win with the game over, even though, again, didn't have the best, spots in all the matches on the week. But he had a solid performance, and he continues to be our God's champion, the Redeemer. Miro is still TNT champion. All things are still right in the world.
Molly Warwick watching us on Facebook saying she's waiting for Ruby to show up. So we actually reported on that earlier this
You guys
afternoon.
earlier. Yeah, you, Kevin. Yeah.
On the top story, we were talking about Ruby Riott. Well, that's her name, formerly known as Ruby Riott. Haiti Lovelace is going to go now by the name of Ruby Soho, or Soho in AEW. She is reportedly expected to be signing up. There's a lot of people. I think you talked about it in the comment section earlier. Maybe she could be the Joker for the Women's Battle Royale. I think that would be a great idea. And I think she would be a great fit for AEW. So let's see what happens. A lot of stuff, interesting stuff about to happen in these next few weeks, and a lot of uncertainty, especially with this Delta variant and another variant that just came out, and states imposing mask mandates and lockdowns. And it's just everything's uncertain. But one thing that is certain, that we get wrestling every single day of the week now.
Yeah, basically.
All right, guys. But before we move into NXT, make sure you are sharing tonight's show in your favorite wrestling group. Subscribe to the channel on our YouTube right now. Hit that notification button so that way you're notified whenever we drop new news, new exclusive interviews, new content, daily stuff every single day. And also subscribe to the podcast. We are charting in different countries right now. We're in the top 100 wrestling podcasts in the United States right now, top 100 in Australia, all over the world. We're really, without you guys, we really couldn't do it. So we really want to thank you about that. So make sure you are subscribing to the podcast, subscribing to our video content on YouTube. Go ahead and do all that stuff. So let's jump into NXT this week, Rico, because this was also another pre-taped version of NXT. Samoa Joe goes on a rampage in the hunt for Karrion Kross. Could not find him. Takes out the entire security detail. Chokes one out in the middle of the ring.
He hired.
Yeah, the security he hired. Yes, he took them out.
Now they're going to be with you the entire time until TakeOver.
Yeah. So we got a little bit of mayhem there. We got an explanation on why Dakota Kai turned on Raquel Gonzalez. But besides of those two main things that were going on, we got some matches. We had Hit Row at the top of the show going up against Legado de Fantasma in a grudge match. Hit Row got the win, but it was via DQ because one Mr. Santos Escobar had to come in with the chair, get the equalizer down. So I think that we're going to end up getting Swerve versus Escobar heading into TakeOver 36. We also got to see one super dominant Ridge Holland looking like an absolute beast. The UK version of Brock Lesnar.
Basically. Yeah, mini Brock is Ridge Holland. And the massive amount of heat. Who knew that the easiest way to get massive nuclear heat on somebody is to have them wrestle against somebody who always wrestles in a blazer and have him rip that blazer off that competitor? Because the second that he ripped that blazer off of Ikemen Jiro, the crowd went crazy. They all hated Ridge Holland from then on, which is a really smart way. In case you forgot how much of a heel he was supposed to be, here's a bit of dose of that. Just destroying poor Eichmann. And just the jacket, man. The blazer looks so nice on him, and he just tears it off of the poor kid and just squashes him the rest of the match.
Oh, yeah. He absolutely dominated Ikemen Jiro. But yeah, so Ridge Holland looking absolutely dominant. We had a little promo after that matchup with Pete Dunne and Oni Lorcan. They're looking absolutely badass and the meanest men in NXT. We'll see if they're going to go by the moniker of Kings of NXT, which was the original moniker for this group. But I don't know. We'll see what happens there. We got to see another matchup here. Former Undisputed Era members Roderick Strong, going up against Bobby Fish. And that was actually a pretty good show up there for Roderick Strong, going up against, at one point, his brother, right, Rico?
Yeah, so these guys have a lot of history together, even before Undisputed Era, back in ROH. Like, you could tell these guys just know each other so well. They did a great job storytelling in the ring, but ultimately it came down to Roderick Strong just, again, not being satisfied of being, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, just like Malcolm Bivens happened to tell, Wade Barrett when they sat down. He's here to be a leader, and he showed through his leadership and putting down one of his former friends, one of his former brothers in the Undisputed Era, and beating up on Bobby Fish. So, what does this mean going forward between Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong? Who, what does Bobby Fish have left if he can't even defeat the Diamond Mine, Jose?
I don't know. Maybe he joins the Diamond Mine. Maybe he becomes part of. He joins. He realizes he can't do it by himself, but now that he has a group of elite fighters in the Diamond Mine, he can join that. But I don't know. We'll see. That's like the obvious choice, right? But I don't know what you do with Bobby Fish right now. Do you push him towards the North American title picture now that Roderick Strong is going towards the cruiserweight? I don't know. There's a lot of things you could do with Bobby Fish right now.
So what he does, he's going to start his own stable. So when Cameron Grimes and LA Knight break up,
don't do it.
Cameron Grimes can join. They're going to be the Fishermen, Jose.
Oh my God!
Because they were talking about, they were fish. He's going to be the leader of the Fishermen, Bobby and the Fishermen. There's going to be another stable coming soon to NXT. But speaking of LA Knight and Cameron Grimes, they had a tag team match against the soon to be recognized as NXT's #1 tag team. The Grizzled Young Veterans getting the win with, of course, some more shenanigans between LA Knight and Cameron Grimes. When he was going for the tag, LA Knight just jumps off, from the apron, leaves Cameron Grimes to his own devices, winds up losing to GYV. So again, we know this is going to happen. Ted DiBiase came out again to kind of console Cameron Grimes after this match. So, I mean, it's pretty much written in the stars, right, Jose? We're going to get $1 million championship match at TakeOver 36, LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes with Ted DiBiase at ringside, I would assume.
I don't get why they're bringing back Ted DiBiase into the storyline. Ted DiBiase is a heel. He's always been a heel. Why is he being a babyface, a supportive one by that, right? He's like, I don't know what you got to do, but you need to get yourself out of this situation. Man. You gotta get yourself out of this situation. Come on. Like, no, you're the guy that laughs in people's faces and throws money at them when they're hurt. Why are you not doing that? I understand when you get older, you change and your perspective, but you're a wrestling character. You should be lining up with LA Knight. You should be enjoying those rounds of golf with LA Knight while Grimes is serving both of you whiskey on the rocks in the middle of 95-degree weather here in Florida, because that was like right here, right next door, right down the road. Right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's like my only nitpick thing about that, because I actually like what they're doing with the storyline, and eventually we get the payoff where we're going to get that matchup again for that title. But DiBiase does not need to be involved in this at all.
The only thing that I hope for, if they're going to keep him involved, is so that he turns on Cameron Grimes. Like, I think that's the only justification of doing this, is just to swerve us again and just have him reaffirm himself with LA Knight to make sure that Cameron Grimes does not walk out of TakeOver 36 as the $1 million champion. That's the only thing I'm hoping for, because that would be the only way to subvert this. Because right now it seems like written, like it's so much easier to predict. Like, oh, Cameron's finally going to get his win over LA Knight at TakeOver with the help of DiBiase.
He won't.
Swerve it. Have DiBiase realign himself with LA Knight, cost Cameron Grimes the belt, and then it's fine. Then it's entertaining at that point.
CRC here, Christopher Ryan Cooper, saying, I don't like how they have Ted DiBiase acting like he didn't do the same thing LA Knight is doing. Exactly my point.
Yep.
This is why the more he needs to be aligned with LA Knight. But I do like the swerve idea. Maybe he does cost Cameron Grimes that $1 million championship. Maybe this was all a conspiracy from the get with LA and Ted DiBiase.
Yeah.
Have Ted DiBiase. You know what? That is probably even the more DiBiase thing to do, to cotton up this whole conspiracy job just to bring this confidence up on Cameron Grimes that, oh, you trust, but no.
Just take it out from under him.
Part of the plan from the get. The double turn, the backstabber, the switcheroo, everything's happening in the storyline.
Oh, yeah, because, LA Knight gave him the money because, Jose, everybody has a price. The only person that there is a price, especially for quality sushi over there in Orlando, which apparently is always like Indi Hartwell try to go out for. And she's
love that place. That place is great, though.
Yeah, but she wasted so much money on so much
She
great food.
did.
Zoe Stark, you need to learn to open up your taste buds and
Mama, you need to get cultured, okay?
just.
That place, Easy Bond, is the bomb.
We were just there for your birthday, and it was an amazing
We were.
experience. And like, just to see her there, just be like, doing the whole Seinfeld thing with putting it on the napkin and just throwing it on the ground. I don't think she even paid for the check. She was supposed to pay, and I don't think she even paid either. So don't. Zoe Stark, you got to do right by them.
It's like $200 worth of food right there on that table too. So I think either Io Shirai owes Zoe Stark $200 or Zoe owes Easy Bond $200.
Yeah, that's all on
At
Zoe
least.
Stark, man. It's all on Zoe Stark at this point because Io knew what she was doing. So, so that was an entertaining segment there. Yeah.
We did have another first round matchup here for Trey Baxter and Joe Gacy going at it for the NXT Breakout Tournament. Trey Baxter getting the win. I for sure thought that Joe Gacy, because Gacy came in looking like a monster that's coming to wreck shop. But Baxter really surprised the hell out of me in this matchup. So now we know Trey Baxter is going to be going up against Odyssey Jones. That's a tall task to tackle. Because Odyssey Jones, man, that's a superstar, bro. That's that guy. Well, him and Duke Hudson. Him and Duke Hudson are going to be, I think that's my final pick right there.
It's literally going to be, I feel the winner of this match is going to determine who wins the tournament, because we've already heard the speculation of Vince is being really high on Odyssey Jones. So expect him to be on Raw or SmackDown more than NXT. But Trey Baxter, he has, a really strong following in the independent scene. He's a very talented individual. So honestly, I think it's going to be the winner of this match. That's going to be the winner of the overall tournament. Even on the other side, we do have Carmelo Hayes going up against Duke Hudson. Who, again, just like you said, he is the prime Vince McMahon kind of guy. He's just a big dude. He's got a nice accent. He's a good looking dude. He's talented in the ring. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play out, these semifinals on both sides. But if I had to get a slight nod, I think it's going to be the winner of this match right here, just because of how over they are on Trey Baxter, how well he did, and how big they are on Odyssey Jones. So I just expect I'm starting to think Odyssey is not going to win, and just because they're going to bring him up. So something tells me for some reason it's going to be like Trey Baxter versus Duke Hudson, but and ultimately, all four of these guys are talented. This is what the breakout tournament is supposed to be about. That's how we got our Isaiah Swerve Scott. That's how we got our Bronson Reed. So, I'm really intrigued to see how they're going to play out the rest of this tournament, and hoping they put on some amazing matches like we should see from these two semifinals.
Yeah, man, you're absolutely right about that. All right, man. We also got to see in the main event what seemed to be the conclusion to the Index story, as Johnny Gargano faced Dexter Lumis in a love her or leave her match. And this match did not end the way that I wanted, Rico, because I wanted Index to finally be a thing, right? But you know what? Indi did not give a single F. She ran back into Dexter's arms, hopped on him, mounted him, kissed him, and fade to black. We got a little happy ending. Beth Phoenix, you could hear her crying in the back of her throat. She's so happy that this went down. And you hear Wade Barrett nauseated with disgust of what's going on. What's your take on this? What's your take on this? Was that finale? Did you think that was good?
It wasn't the happy ending we were hoping for, but it was a happy ending that Dexter Lumis was hoping for. So it's what can we say about this? Because before we head into this match, we got the backstage segment of Dexter Lumis and his drawings. Again, immensely talented drawings. I love the one that they had with Indi, where she basically ripped out the heart of Dexter and she's walking away and he's there with the that's an amazing drawing. So regardless, Dexter Lumis, if he did draw or not, that is immensely talented. That's a great drawing for, just to have up there. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. We had this whole storytelling the entire time. Indi tried to get involved a couple of times. There was a moment where Johnny had the Gargano escape, And instead of just grabbing the rope, he does the caressing first of the face, and then he grabs the rope. So there was like all these like little cute things that they were doing for each other. Candice LeRae gets involved, of course. There was a moment where Dexter accidentally hits Indi Hartwell, but you would think like this is going to cause this whole rift between Indi and Dexter. But just like you said, even though Gargano finally got the win over Dexter Lumis to put this to bed, as they were walking up the ramp, Indi couldn't help herself. She kept looking back, and then she had to go for it. She ran down to the ring. They embraced. They rolled over the whole place.
When that happened, I was like, "Yay!"
We finally got it.
Yes, we finally got it. Stephen Chambers watching us on Facebook, and Marley Warwick asked the same thing. She's like, despite Lumis's loss, there's love in the air with Indi and Dexter. Do you guys see a possible mixed tag match for TakeOver? I think that is a brilliant idea, Stephen Chambers. Why not have this culminate in a mixed tag match? Index versus Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae at TakeOver. I think that's a fun one to open up the show.
Yeah, I mean, we know we're gonna get Karrion Kross, versus Samoa Joe. We're gonna get Raquel Gonzalez versus Dakota Kai. I'm assuming we're gonna get MSK defending the tag team championship.
In the world is MSK.
They kept like bringing it up that there's still some rivalry between GYV and MSK and Pete Dunne and them. So we'll see if that's a match. But
how can there be a rivalry when you haven't even been on TV?
We haven't even been doing anything. I don't know. They're just like there's still some heat there, even though really the heat is between like Santos Escobar versus Swerve for the North American Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. You got those 4 titles. Why not have, they're not doing anything with the women's tag team. Why not have a mixed tag match between, Index versus the Garganos? I'd be down for it. I think it'd be a great match to have, actually.
I think that's really cool. I think that was a great idea. Thank you for that. I'm trying to remember who posted it. Stephen Chambers. Thank you so much for that. I think that was a great comment and a great dream match. I think that would be really fun to watch. Guys, want to thank you so much for hanging out with us here tonight to cover AEW and NXT. Guys, remember to hit the like button, to share, to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got tons of stuff dropping every single day. New content, new interviews, new stories, top stories of the day live every afternoon at 6-ish in the afternoon. And then we also got the live review shows here with the Debrief, Monday nights with Vince Russo and Dr. Chris Featherstone on Legion of Raw, and Friday nights with Dirty Dutch Mantel on Smack Talk. So guys, make sure you are following all of our content on all of our social media. Thanks to every single one of you for helping us get our Instagram to 100K. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. We bust our ass here to give you the very best content in wrestling media. So thank you so much again for hanging out. Well, with that being said, guys, when watching wrestling, Rico, tell them what's the most important thing to do when watching wrestling.
Enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling.
Good night.